This is Cars and Bids, and this is Kenan. Kenan works with me at Cars and Bids, and today we are going to talk about some of the cars on the website because we felt that just having me was maybe a little boring.
No, it wasn't boring. It was a lot of Doug.
A lot of Doug.
Okay. We're going to share some Doug today.
So we're going to start by talking about some cars that we're excited for, that are coming up, that are selling in the next week or so. And then we are going to give a market report about some of the cars that have sold over the last couple weeks that are especially exciting. So let's do it.
First one we're going to mention is this 2008 Porsche Cayenne. What makes this one special is that it's a manual. It's a base manual car, which is really cool. You don't see these very often, but more importantly, the guy took unbelievable photos of this car. It's really well represented. Shot a great video too. Go all the way to the bottom, take a look at it. It's phenomenal. He also fitted some great off-roading tires on it. He said the largest tires you could fit to it without having to add a lift kit. And it looks amazing. There's a picture of it crawling over some rocks it just looks unbelievable. And I think this car is going to do very well with us. A lot of off-roading cars and 4x4s have. And this one, you can still use it every day. It's still a Porsche. But you can legitimately take this car off-road and just parking this at Cars and Coffee, you'd win every Cars and Coffee you go to.
Okay, next up, one that I am very excited for is this Mercedes-Benz G-Wagon Coupe. That's what I call the two-door hardtop versions. It's a G320, and it looks really good. It's been very well updated on the outside and a little bit on the inside. And it's a really, really cool car. I think the coupes are very special. People look at them in the States, they have no idea what they are. People wonder, did you shorten it yourself? And obviously these are a lot more affordable than a convertible, but still very much a head-turning and exciting G-Wagon. And I love having imported G-Wagons on the site. They're just so neat.
Next up on the list is the 2006 Aston Martin DB9 Volante. It has a really cool backstory behind it. But what's interesting is that it has all Ferrari colors for our exterior, for our interior, really red, very cool, super low mileage. It's a really interesting car, and I think it's going to do really well.
Yeah, super low mileage. It's like
1,600 miles.
I think it's an 06.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Okay, last one I am really excited about before we dive into the market report is this 1986 Alpina B6. Looks kind of like an E30, but this is a true Alpina car. So it's been heavily modified and changed and upgraded compared to a regular 3 Series. It has a larger engine, it has more power, and it's super, super rare. You never find these. You especially never find these in the United States. It's already titled, it's already imported and titled in the US. Super cool, and I'm tremendously excited to see what a real old school Alpina goes for. Okay, so we're going to start the market report in the obvious place, the car that was probably the most head-turning, got us the most attention in the last couple weeks, this 1995 BMW 850 CSI Daytona Violet over purple and white.
Daytona Violet and Lotus White interior.
Very bizarre.
Incredibly.
This car sold for $143,000. I had a lot of people on Twitter saying, I can't believe, I thought 8 Series were like $10,000 cars. They didn't get it.
Those people don't understand, this is the CSI. They only built a handful of these cars for the United States. It was incredibly rare at the time, very expensive. They built 225. They built 85 in this color for the world of all E31s, but of the CSIs, this is the only one that was this color combination, this exterior color, this interior color.
And people said to me, oh, the CSI, well, it's not that much faster. It doesn't have a $150,000 car driving experience. And I'm like, you need to never get into a 250 GTO then.
So true. It's so true.
It'll be very disappointing. This is what happens. Ultra rare cars, especially these days, colors has become a really big thing. Ultra rare cars and rare colors that have been well preserved, like this car, they do well. What do you think about this number, 143?
It's a big number for this car, and it brings it appropriately. This car is only going to be worth more in the future.
Yeah.
Like we said, just rare color combinations. To get something like this in period was next to impossible.
Right.
I think we will look back at this auction 5, 10 years from now and think, wow, you could only 143 for that.
Just like we look back on them 10 years ago, and there was 60, 70,000, and it was like not that much more special. And now here,
absolutely.
The thing that I'm really proud of the site for being able to get this level of value for a car, and this is a very special car. This was the number it deserved, and it got it, and that makes us feel good, you know.
Certainly, yeah. It set a record for us. I mean, it's the most comments we've ever had on
really?
Listing. Yes, almost 1,000 comments.
Well, it was an exciting car.
Absolutely, and it was an amazing phenomenon to watch too. It was a really great result for us.
Okay, next up I want to talk about this 2017 Bentley Bentayga. I am obsessed. I love the Bentley Bentayga. If I won the lottery, I would stop making videos. I would never speak to any of you people again. No, that's not true. But I would probably daily drive a Bentayga. with a 12-cylinder.
Absolutely.
Because it's just that I love that motor. It's my favorite motor of any car on the market.
It's one of the things we agree on. That's one of the best powertrains ever put in a car. It's just it just the way it spools. I mean, it's 600 horsepower. Like this behemoth is 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds, and it's all due to that engine. It's just it's so seamless.
The cool thing to me is anybody can make a fast SUV, but to make one that's also that nice. The combination is just, it's unmatched because the Cullinan is nicer, but it's slower and it's kind of ungainly. And the X5M Performance or Cayenne Turbo, they're faster, but they're not, they don't have chrome veneers and perfect finishes and blah, blah, blah.
Touring specifications.
Right. This car has everything. $115,000. It is crazy. What did you tell me the original sticker was?
So the original sticker was $242,890 and sold for, after our fees, $119,500.
So just under $120 without fees.
Just under $120,000.
So half price.
So to put it in perspective, it depreciated $123,000. So it's a 50.8% discount off of what it MSRP for. It's crazy.
It is crazy. That's insane. But you know, that's kind of the reality of cars like this. Especially, I mean, this one's been driven. It's been used clearly as like a daily driver, 30,000 miles.
Right, and that's, you know, this isn't the highest mileage one I've ever seen. I've certainly seen them almost, some of them almost approaching 100,000 miles, and it's because you can really drive it.
Okay, next one I want to talk about is, speaking of Volkswagen Group SUVs, this 2007 Volkswagen Touareg V10 TDI.
Yeah.
I was really thrilled to get this car in because I just knew, given the body kit, it was made up to look like a replica of the R50, which was like a high-performance Touareg they sold in Europe, God knows why. And I just knew this would get some interest. But then, in addition to that, it's the V10 version. So they did, for a few years, a V10 turbo diesel Touareg here in North America. Nobody bought it. But they were incredibly strong vehicles. You've seen the video of the Touareg and that Silverado and the pull-off on YouTube.
Yes.
In my mind, the seminal car YouTube video. Anyway, the Touareg wins, of course. But anyway, this one had big miles, 175,000 miles, but you're just not going to find another one with the body kit. It looked really good.
It looked sensational. Normally, I'm personally not a fan of aftermarket wheels, and we all know you're not, but it looks really good on this car. And, you know, it's such a value. I mean, 13.3, it's such an unusual car.
Right.
And the sound, like, if you watch the videos at the bottom, the sound of a V10 diesel is just insane.
Bizarre. Yeah.
It's so crazy, and it's such an interesting car. I mean, it was a Cars and Bids car if there ever were one.
Yeah, totally. And I agree with you, at 13.3, it's one of those things where it's like, find another one.
Exactly.
You're never going to do it. And making it yourself, getting all the R50 parts and the wheels and all that, making it yourself, it's going to cost you way more. If you could even find a V10 TDI nice enough to do it with, which at this point, I mean, they're gone.
Yeah, they
were never around to begin with.
No, exactly. They were long gone. And this one had some things still that needed to be addressed, but it was, I mean, it's an insane value, and it's a really, really cool SUV.
Yeah. Okay, next one worth discussing, 2012 Mercedes-Benz E63 AMG Wagon. Which sold for $34,500 with something like 71,000 miles.
And the performance package.
Yes, the performance was a much better car than my AMG Wagon.
But yeah, that's the interesting thing I was going to bring up. Actually, compared to your car, it sold for just a little bit less, but not by much. You know, again, it's a very subdued spec on this particular one, and having the performance package adds a certain level for sure.
Yeah.
I think it brought pretty appropriate money given the mileage, and you know, and again, it presented well. This was a nice one.
Here is a fun fact: we have sold every AMG wagon that has come. We've had 6, and we've sold 6. This is the car is right in our wheelhouse. I've always made videos about AMG wagons, so a lot of my fans have come onto the site. Here they are, available. And so they've all sold. Every single one of them has sold. And they've gotten varying states of money.
It's not entirely surprising because if you want this car, I mean, there just aren't that many of them out there. So finding one like this is a rare thing, and and I'm glad someone snapped it up. They did well. Yeah,
it is also good. A lot of car for $34,500.
It is a lot of car.
And I didn't have any real issues with mine, except for the windshield leaking thing, which was because of a replacement windshield. Yeah. My car was super reliable. In the end, I regret getting Mercedes-Benz CPO. I mean, who knows if they're all going to be like that. But Mercedes-Benz, there was a time when you weren't so sure if you could get a reliable car.
True.
I was really impressed with how mine did. And this was the same model year and similar basic vehicle. Okay, next one to discuss. This is an interesting one. I want to talk about this 1996 Mercedes-Benz S320. So this was a no-reserve car from this seller we have in Pennsylvania who gets crazy low mileage stuff, sells them all no reserve. He's got a lot of confidence in his cars.
He's a believer.
He is, and in cars and bids, and I love that. This one I was especially impressed with because it got, I mean, over $15,000. Is this the beginning of the W140S class sort of starting to become more appreciated?
It certainly could be, and I think this really sets the high water because this one was so nice.
One owner, one family, 46,000
miles. I mean, just insane, and the pictures do a lot of justice. And I think the person who last commented on it said that they bought one of the cleanest examples out there. I mean, it's true. I mean, it's phenomenal, and it comes from that era that you and I remember as just the truly overbuilt Mercedes.
Yeah.
It's a 6-cylinder one, not a V8, so it's a little bit more.
And that's one of the things that impressed me the most.
It's surprising.
You really have, I mean, gold 6-cylinder.
Yeah.
But it's another example. And these are the cars that I like the most on the site. It's another example of find another one. If you're waiting for a perfect S500 or S600, you may be waiting years to find a one owner with 46,000. It's just not going to happen.
Agreed. It being as old as it is, there just aren't that many left that are that way.
Yeah.
So this one represented, like we said, probably the high watermark at the moment for these cars.
Yeah.
And I hope the person enjoys it who bought it, but it could be a sign of things to come.
Because W140, I always felt was the pinnacle S class. That's as good as it got.
You think? Yeah. I can certainly see that from.
It was the last really overbuilt one.
True.
The next gen one was not the same, and I like the new ones a lot, but they're still new and expensive, and I don't really think about it as much. When you need some perspective to really appreciate these cars, and to me, with perspective, it's like yes.
Right. This is the traditional conservative
side. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Yes, very much so.
I hope that this signifies W140s coming up because I think that they deserve it. They made a lot of them. A lot of them got rough. So maybe finding nice ones.
They got cheap very quickly, as most German cars do, and they were not necessarily.
But they're reliable and they'll live forever.
Absolutely.
Okay, next one I want to talk about is this 2017 Chevy SS. This was an interesting one. So it's a 6-shift manual car. It was last model year, 9,000 miles, and it sold for 40. Which, by the way, this has got to be the greatest resale value Chevy.
You're probably right.
What other Chevy? What was the sticker on this? 47? And what other Chevy has retained 85% of its value in 3 years?
Exactly. Well, and moreover, this one had MagRide, had the forged wheels. I mean, it was the right one. Granted, the color white is a little bit more common for those cars, but you talk about a sleeper. I mean,
best.
It is so understated. Nobody knows what it is unless you know cars. And this one was really nice. Like I said, 9,200 miles, which is part of why I think it retained some of its value. And a Texas car as well. I think 40,000 that's excellent money.
It is excellent money. I think it's what it's worth, though. I mean, I think nice ones bring this, and they deserve to because they're not making more of these. It's a naturally aspirated V8 with manual transmission. It's just rare. I mean, finding cars like that, rear-wheel drive, it's hard.
Well, we'll never see it again. It's never going to happen from any manufacturer right now.
I will say, I posted this on my social media, and a lot of people were replying, if I were going to spend that money, I would want a car that stands out, a car that looks the part.
It's not for those people.
It's not for those people. The thing is, to me, the best thing about this car is the fact that it's a total sleeper.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. That's the whole point. That's the whole point. And I don't think when it came out, people got it.
Right.
People really didn't understand. Only a select few.
In the world of the Charger and the Challenge, people in today's world, they generally want to stand out when they buy something, especially if it's expensive. But there's a select few, the AMG Wagon people, who want a car that just only car people know. And the rest of people just think you got a Chevy. And you can take that. You meet clients and there's not a lot of judgment. But at the end of the day, it's a lot of fun. I think this is one of the coolest cars. I think it will remain a valuable car. If you look at the value of Pontiac G8s, which is the predecessor to this car, 10 years earlier, those are still pulling big money. And this is, I think, will continue to do. Very slow depreciation curve. So I think well bought in the sense that, it's not going to really lose. You can drive it and you won't really lose.
Yeah, you're not going to lose much value with this car.
Yeah. Okay, next one. 2002 BMW M5. Ken owns an E39 M5.
I do. I'm a huge fan of these cars.
Tell us your thoughts. This is a pretty good price.
So, this is a good price, especially considering the mileage. 123,000 miles. It brought 27,250. This car has a lot of stuff going for it. It's a 2002, second to last model year. It did have some modifications, a lot of dine-in ones. Very well optioned, has an M1SW full leather heritage interior, which M5 nerds love full leather. And this car is really, it's really nice. It's got a lot of stuff. It's got M audio, which is just a better sound system. More importantly, it was well kept. With these cars, maintenance is everything because they can be extremely expensive to take care of. And this car had a lot of documentation to go with it. So, you know, 27,250 is a high number for a car with 123,000 miles, an almost 20-year-old car. But this is a special M5. You know, it presents as stock, which is very important. And
you know what the other big factor here is? No reserve.
No reserve. No reserve and great pictures. This car had a lot of really good pictures.
I beg people to understand. People think I'm trying to screw them when I tell them to go no reserve. But with a good car that you really believe in, that has strong, you know, everything about it is good. Like you said, well kept, good photos. That's how you win. No reserve, then you get people excited. They're so interested. Well, I really think that contributed.
And you layer on top of that, the seller was active. He commented with a lot of people, and that's extremely important too. And it brought the money. You know, as we've talked about, we argued before about M5 reserve prices. But I think even this surprised me, even that this car went that high, and great for the seller. And ultimately, I think the person who bought it got a really nice M5.
The thing about it is, too, ultimately, this being a market report, here's the market on this car. It's going up.
There's no question.
These cars are desirable. People are getting more and more into them. I hear from people who have very, very high budgets for cars, who have some serious cars in the garage, and they tell me they're looking to pick up one of these. Seriously, I'm multi-supercar owners. Several in the last couple of months have told me E39 M5 is a car that they're zeroing in on. There's a reason for that. It's a beautiful car. It's the manual transmission, the driving experience. Not really a lot of people think this was the pinnacle of BMW. And specifically, in my opinion, the 2001, 2002 model year was the pinnacle because that was the E38. You had the X5 coming out, the Z8. BMW was at its peak, and this was probably the peak of the peak cars. And so this car, we're going to look at it one day like we look at E30 M3s. I wish we had bought one then.
I'm not wish we had bought one. That's all my car. That's for sure. But yeah, it's without question. I mean, even when I park mine or local cars and coffee, there are always people who are looking at it, which is bizarre for someone who just most people think it's an old BMW.
People don't look at the E55, which is a car I love, the W210
and 211. I think they're both
great cars. Not this car.
No, I tend to agree. And magazines reflected it back then, and the market reflects it now.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Okay, last one I want to talk about is this 1988 BMW 535 IS. So we mentioned the Alpina at the start of this video. This 535 IS was an Alpina replica. It sold for $24,000. It was one of the coolest cars we've had.
There's no question. I've been familiar with this car for a while. I saw it on Afterdrive a long time ago. It was on their eBay challenge thing. And to see it now, man, you talk about a cool looking car. And additionally, it has the chops to back it up. This car was modified by Manifold Racing, so it's got a lot of really cool trick parts to it. It's one you can drive, like you said. The Alpina we have coming up, that's definitely a collector car. This one you can use. Yeah, and it just looks amazing. Especially the exterior is awesome, but that interior too kills it. Yeah, it's so cool. Right. I mean, it's such a good replica that it might as well be the real thing. It has more power. A lot of people in the comments were saying I'd rather have this than an E28 M5. Same. I mean, to me, the E28 M5, very cool car. A lot of them have either a ton of miles or they're a ton of money. This car is a drivable, usable, very cool car for not anywhere near E28 M5 money. And I just was obsessed with this car. We're not, during market report, it's hard to even give a market report of this car because there's no market. This is one of one. What do you compare it to? But I just really wanted to talk about it because I really think that this is one of the coolest cars we've had. I'm not a big fan of modified cars, but I really love really cleanly modified cars, and this is that. This person did an incredible job of making it so perfect Alpina. And I'm obsessed. I think that, the interior, it's so good. It's so good. Got the money it deserves. We could go on about this car forever, but it's easily in my top 10 favorite cars we've sold so far. Right. Okay, that was our market report for the last few weeks. I have no idea how this video is going to turn out. I don't know if you'll like Kenneth or if the audio is any good. We've never done this before with two people trying to be a little bit distant. So we'll see what happens. We're trying a lot of stuff on this Cars and Bids channel. And we will see you again soon with some other video. Bye!